What would you do if I told you there was a film where a cop accidentally kills a suspect, hides the body, and tries to frame a crime boss and almost gets away with it, but turns himself in? What if I told you that film was made in 1950? Yeah, this film, it feels more relevant now than it did. Well, I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak for how relevant it was at the time because, I wasn't born yet. But, yeah. First time I saw this movie was back in 2015. By the way, the film is called, it might help if I introduce the movie. The film, it's called Where the Sidewalk Ends. It was made in 1950, and it was made by Otto Preminger. Preminger? I I've never heard it said out loud, but I know him. He's a very, very well-known film noir director. He made a lot of film noir films, and I've seen several of them. I haven't seen them all. I've seen several of them. I just haven't heard his name spoken, so I don't know how to pronounce it. But yeah, it also stars. Well, I mean, also it stars Dana Andrews. Dana Andrews, is the main actor, and Gene Tierney, who were also, they're not as well known as he is. I went through their filmographies, and I have seen some of their other movies, but like they were like lesser known. Like um Dana Andrews, he plays the cop. I think the most prominent thing that he's been in that I've seen is The Twilight Zone. But like every actor back then was in the Twilight Zone, so that's not really a big surprise. Of course, he was in the Twilight Zone. Everyone's on the Twilight Zone. But yeah, as I said, oh yeah, also it's based on the novel Night Cry by William L. Stuart, which goes without saying I haven't read it. I probably should though. I probably won't though. This movie, like, it really would benefit from a remake. You see all these remakes of, good classic movies that everyone knows and loves. Uh, like Footloose. Why did that one get a remake? Just go back and watch the original. It's still well known and loved. Why did it get a remake? Fright Night. That one did not need a remake. This one, on the other hand, it's not very well known, even among fans of classic films. Like, I'm a huge fan of old films. I love an old black and white film more than, well, not more than, just as much as I do an like the modern films. I can watch a silent film like all the time. I love old films. Classic Hollywood was a different time, and that actually has a different meaning now. It was a different time. It doesn't mean the same. But that is true. But it's also like in terms of like storytelling and the way that films were made, it was a different time, and films felt different back then. And I keep going back to these. I've seen, this is the fourth time I've seen this movie, and I actually don't mind giving spoilers. I Good luck finding this. I had to dig to find this. There's an app. Let's see. I don't even remember the name of the app. I had to do a free trial. Flix Fling is the name of the app where it's basically a streaming service. Looking through it, it looks like it's a streaming service with a bunch of like these old forgotten movies, which sounds like a great app to me. Like I actually might go through with this trial and actually pay for it. It's $7.99 a month. I don't I don't know if I actually would use it. It sounds good. I would probably pay to keep it and then never use it. Not because it's a bad app, but because I just don't really use streaming service. I pay for every streaming service. I have Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max. I mean, yeah, HBO Max. I was gonna say HBO Prime. I do have Prime Video, Disney Plus, Curiosity Stream. I even have PureFlix, Peacock, Paramount Plus. I have all of them. Crunchyroll. I have Crunchyroll. I forgot about that. Why do I have these apps and I don't even use them? Well, add Flixfling to that. That's hard to say. I'm probably going to pay for that and never even use it. But I do hope somebody listens to this and goes and subscribes, because at least they'll get one person using it out of this. Like, I might not be using it, but somebody listening to this will, maybe, possibly, hopefully. I need to talk about the movie, don't I? That might help. I I do highly recommend watching this movie. Like, even though I literally gave away the ending in the opening, it's still a great movie. It's one of those, like, even if the first time I saw it, I kind of figured he would be found out. Like, there's no way, like, especially like an old movie like this, there's no way he would do all this and not get caught. I knew somehow he would get caught. Um, I was kind of surprised he turned himself in, but it's how he did it and why. It's it's not so much the destination that is the movie. It's getting there. And there's a lot of exciting things that happened. And I don't want to hype it up like, oh, it's the most exciting movie I've ever seen. It it isn't. It is kind of, it is an old film noir. It has a lot of excitement. There's fight scenes with no music, which to me that kind of enhances it. If there was like intense music, it would just kind of be like, oh, okay, we're doing this. I don't know. It would just be another fight scene, but like there's fight scenes, and whenever like he punches, there's like the old punching sound, and it's just a whole fight scene where like they're hitting each other, and it's just the only thing missing is the comic book pow bam smash, like Batman or something. But it was, again, it was a product of its time. It definitely feels like a film made in 1950. If this film was made now, exactly the way it is, even adding color, say you made it exactly the way it is now, with color, it probably wouldn't be as good. But it's like, knowing it was made in 1950, it's just kind of like, oh, you can kind of excuse some of the kind of the cheesiness of it. There is a moment at the beginning that made me go, wow, that would not slide today. There's a scene where there's this girl, and she was like, well, I want to leave, and the guy she's with was like, but I want you to stay. And she's like, but I need to work in the morning. And he slaps her on both sides of her face. And I'm like, oh, wow, that would not go over well today. It was a product of its time, I did say. But it was part of the story. Like, the guy who did it was he wasn't a great person, and they kind of, it's in the story. Like, he's not a good person. It's not like the main character is like, oh, this is the way things are, and you better listen to me because blah. No, the guy was painted as a douchebag, basically. So it's okay, I guess. I don't know. Like, they could have done it a different way, but this is a movie I kind of digressed a little bit. This is a spin-off of my other podcast. I digress because I did say all these movies they remake, this movie would definitely benefit from that. Like, I would love them to remake this movie. Like, it doesn't even have to be called like, because like a title like "Where the Sidewalk Ends," it it sounds like an old movie, and really, it doesn't really. I don't know why it's called that. Because, like I said, like the novel is based off of. It's not called that. Actually, hang on. Let me look at my notes. What was the name of the novel? Night Cry. That makes more sense than Where the Sidewalk Ends. I don't know why it's called that. I'm trying to think. Like, is there a moment where I think somebody like mentions the sidewalk once, and it's not really relevant to the plot. But if it name aside, they could remake this, give it a cool title, and actually they could add to it. Like, they could totally add to the story because like it is kind of lacking. Like, it's only an hour and a half long, like 95 minutes, like a little over an hour and a half. And so like so look that so like they could totally expand on the story and like improve what's there, make it a 2 hour movie, 2.5, go full epic 3 hour movie. There is kind of like it's like there is a climax to it, but it just kind of over. Like, it's literally like 30 seconds. Like, the climax is 30 seconds. And it's like, okay, it's over. We're on to the next scene. It's like the epilogue where he turns himself in, and they could definitely work on this movie. Like, it is, I do highly recommend it. It's a good movie. I love it. I keep watching it. I like it so much that I seeked it out. It's not like my last review. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? It's one that I keep tabs on. I always know where it's streaming because just in case I'm in the mood to watch it. This one, I I spent like a half hour trying to find out where to find it, find find out where to watch it. Which I was using for the longest time, and I think I mentioned it in the digressor at some point. For years, I've been using Yidio to. It's an app that tells you where everything is streaming. And I looked up Where the Sidewalk Ends, and it said not streaming anywhere. And I was like, oh, that sucks. There's another app I have. I've been using it kind of sparingly. It actually has an app for my TV. It's called Just Watch. And I actually subscribed it. I actually subscribed to the pro version. It's I honestly think it's a better app. And now, after this, I have officially switched full time to Just Watch. I am probably going to uninstall Udio. I feel bad because I've been using it for like 10 years now. Maybe, okay, maybe not 10 years. I don't know how long it's. It was a brand new app when I installed it. And I'm probably going to uninstall it because Just Watch, whenever I typed it in, there was one result, and it was the one I said, which I don't remember. FlixFling? Let's see. Yep, FlixFling. And the only one out of the two, there was Yidio and Just Watch. Just Watch is the one that found it. So, yeah, not sponsored. Like anyone would sponsor me. But yeah, I give this movie, I'm gonna say a 7 out of 10 because, like I said, it is a good movie. It's a great story and surprisingly relevant now, but it does suffer from some cheesiness, some bad lines, some, as I said, outdated things like the slap. I'm sure if it was remade now, they would do something else. Like, he would probably like give her a little shove or something. I don't know. I don't think he would like full on slap her if they did a remake. Or I don't know, maybe if they really want to paint him as a bad guy, like have him slap her but have it like cut away. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that like this movie, I do highly recommend it if you can find it. I don't even think it's been actually I should have looked for this before. I want to see if it is available. It's probably not on Blu-ray, but I will see if it is on DVD. Where? Wait, actually, hang on. I forgot. Let's see. Alexa, enable microphone. Yeah. Where does uh tap to ask? Where the sidewalk ends.
Here's something I found on the web. According to Wikipedia.org, Where the Sidewalk
Ay,
Ends is a 1950 American film noir directed and produced by Otto Preminger.
that is not what I wanted. Okay, I'm gonna have to actually type this. I don't want to type it. Where the sidewalk ends, and apparently there's a book of poems. Okay, let's see. Blu-ray. That's one of the suggestions. Oh wait, there is a Blu-ray. That it's there's two. There's a there is one called Where the Sidewalk Ends Twilight Time, which I don't know why it's called that. It's $88. Why is it called Twilight Time? I don't know why it's called that. And then the second one, it's a Spain import for $30, but it is available on Blu-ray. Oh, and it is available on Blu-ray with on DVD in America for $30 and a double pack. Film noir collection, double feature. Actually, no, that's now that I see the title, that's where danger lives. The other movie is Tension. All right, never mind. That is not the same thing. It is hard to find. That's what I'm getting at. I was lucky to find it on Flix Fling. I'm also lucky to be able to say Flix Fling. I will probably be doing a lot of other older movies. Probably not as old as this. I actually there are couple of older movies. There's two silent films I'm wanting to review, and there's some other older movies I'm wanting to review. I'm wanting to stay closer to more recent times. I realized that the What You Think Over Great review I noticed was much easier and more fun to do that one than the other reviews because those are brand new movies I had just seen. I got home from the theater and then I started recording. I had very little experience with that. I literally just I like slapped the notes together on the bus ride home. So those were probably really messy episodes because of that. And the What's Eating Gilbert Grape episode was more fun to make because I grew up with that movie. I have more experience with that movie. It's nostalgic to me. And this one, maybe not as nostalgic, but I have seen it multiple times. First time I saw it was actually at a very important moment in my life, so it kind of stuck with me for that. And yeah, so I'll probably try doing a bunch of those. I've got a bunch of movies that, especially like my sisters and I grew up watching, that I could probably review that no one's ever heard of. I want to do a lot more obscure movies. And What's Using Gilbert Grape isn't exactly obscure. It's lesser known, but I have some obscure movies I could review, and I want to do more of that. I am watching a movie on Sunday that I might be reviewing. I'm not sure. I will have to wait and see how the movie is. I I don't want to do a bad review. which I know that sounds weird. Like, I don't want to come on here and be like, "Oh, this movie was the worst thing I've ever seen. 1 star." Which I might have to do that at some point, but I'm gonna try to do positive reviews. I felt uh, I realized that Elvis was a 6 out of 10, and that was like, I literally was like, should I review this? I didn't like it as much as I should. Ah, but yeah, that is my thing here. I didn't really focus too much on the movie, because I want you to see it, even though I spoil the end, and it is hard to find. Good luck.